Two dingy dingy.
And we're live. Thank you everybody for watching this week. This week's show, we're going to be talking about the photos that we issued the challenge black and white photo or black and white portrait for. So it's going to be the black and white portrait photo review, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the next photo challenge, which is the current photo challenge of your best photo. Now, before we get into too much today, I just want to say thank you to our friend Navi, who was on our show for the past couple of months. She's awesome, and she's still, a big part of what we do and everything like that. But she's very, very busy right now.
No,
she's busy right now.
Donald Trump on you.
No, don't go Donald Trump. We don't need any more Donald Trump. One is more than enough for this world. Yeah, so she's just got her wedding season and everything going nutty right now. She's got a lot of stuff on her plate, so she's asked to be off for a little while, maybe indefinitely. We'll see how it goes. And she always has a welcome place back in our show and, of course, on their day trips and so on. We will have a few different guests on in the meantime. This week we have, from last week, the same guy, Phil Zerato, who was on our show not last but the week before because we weren't on last week. And Phil's going to be sitting in for a little while, see how he likes it, see what kind of stuff he has to talk about. He's away right now. He'll be back in just a second, so he's not saying too much. But when he comes back, we'll say hello to him again. And, of course, Gabriel, good day, sir.
Good day.
How have you been this week?
Good. Tired. It's been a long, busy week, but I've been enjoying it.
You've been
very busy. Yeah, my wife, you know how some people every now and then they'll take a mental health day? She's taking a mental health week.
Oh.
So she's sort of taking a little bit of a siesta from work and taking a week off and hanging around the house and just, got a massive list of things to get done. And so it's, all right, I'll sit down at work. Okay, you guys gonna, honey, can you wash that window? All right, I'm going to go wash that window.
Oh, my God. That's funnier than you know, okay? I'm not going to say why. I'm not going to say why because... But, yeah. No, it's so funny, eh? I mean, you think you have all these things to do. You just as soon as you get right in the meat and potatoes of what you got to do, bam, distraction. Yeah. That's life. That's what we do.
But it's been nice. It's nice having it around the house. We used to work together like 5 or 6 lifetimes ago when I owned a window cleaning company. We worked together all day, every day, and it was great. Every 3 months or so we get a little sick of each other and have to spend an evening away from each other. But it's nice having her around, and I'm looking forward to when she can be doing her own thing full time again, and we can both be working from the house.
That'd be cool. Yeah, it's always nice when you get to... I love working from home. The past 2 days I've been off work and I've been doing stuff from home. My biggest frustration was when Dixie sprawled across the computer. And yeah, so I'm trying to write emails and put out stuff for the sessions coming up, and all of a sudden there's this cat texting Mark Flinders from my computer, which was kind of... It was all good. So, yeah, well, welcome back to the show again this week, of course. Thanks a lot, Gabe, for being here. Your expertise is going to be awesome for this because we're talking about portrait, and you're more of a portrait guy than I've ever been, so your input's going to be huge.
I've had a portrait or two.
So you have. And Phil's back. Hey, Phil.
Hi there.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, for those of you who don't know who this guy is, he might just be showing up in your screens for the first or maybe even the second time because he was on previously. But Phil is one of the first Daytripper photo instructors. He's been teaching photography for a very long time now. He's grown up pretty much working at Henry's and teaching for the SOI, School of Imaging, now called the Learning Lab, and he knows his stuff. Let's just say he knows his stuff. He's very technically minded and has a great eye for photos and photography. So, Phil, thank you so much for agreeing to be on our show for a bit. And, this week, next week, whatever happens, it's all good, man. It's all good. Thank you for being here.
Well, and thank you for having me again. It's always fun.
Cool. Well, we'll see how you feel at the end of the show. All right, so it's funny, I just had my level 9 in the Arcanum critique today with Don Komarechka. He's my master of my cohort in the Arcanum. And it's amazing when you have somebody like him come and review your photos, and he sees things that you just didn't see before. So what we're going to do with our review today is we're going to go over some of the things that we saw that you may not have seen before. And we're certainly not going to say anything with any kind of ill intent. It's all to give you something else to think about when you're shooting and also when you're editing your photos, and just things to keep in the back of your mind. So if you're making a photo and these little pearls of wisdom that we may spew pop into your brain, maybe it'll help you out. Who knows? See how it goes. All right. Before we get into
we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Before we get too far into it, though, there is something I want to share with everybody, a shooting opportunity, let's say. Whoa, what just happened? I think my cat's freaking out. Sorry. I'm not squirreling anymore. I'm Dixieing. Is that what we... Yeah, okay. Anyway, shoo. So something to think about. There's a big shooting opportunity. Tonight is the peak of the Perseids meteor shower. Have you guys shot too much with meteors and all that? Yep.
Fair amount.
Cool. Well, tonight would be a very good opportunity. So after the show, I'm grabbing the shorts. I think I'm going to use the shorts. I'm going to head out there. I'm going to try and get some meteor photos. And, of course, I'm going to do this in my backyard, so good luck to me, right? I know. Okay,
I remember the wonderful success that was last year.
Oh, God. Horrible. But, I'll be outside with my camera, so how bad can it be?
That's always a good thing.
Now, if you want to make better meteor photos, first thing you should do, go to a very dark sky place. Dark Sky Reserve would be perfect, somewhere far out of town with not a lot of light pollution, and that's why I say my backyard's not going to probably work so well, but I'm not going anywhere. It'll be late, and I'm tired. Also, if you want, use your North Star as a point. So when you're shooting and you're doing really long exposures, everything will kind of spin around the North Star. Might add a different effect. Who knows, maybe take your camera, sit it on the ground underneath a tree looking straight up, and then get all that stuff going around with the tree as your main focal point. There's so many things you can do. Remember to review your photos as you're shooting. One of the things that you're going to know is if you're shooting and you don't review your photo, you get home after taking 100 pictures without looking at what you've done, everything will be out of focus, everything will be too bright, too dark, whatever. So every 5 pictures or so, have a look at your shots, zoom right in on your photos, see how crisp those stars are, and hopefully you got a nice little going across your shot. And bring a white towel. I say this on all the Bring on the Night photography classes that we teach. A white towel is probably the best tool you can have for a lot of reasons. First of all, when you get to a location and it's very dark, as photographers, we have a lot of stuff, accessories, crap, lens pens, all kinds of stuff. And if we get there and we set something on the ground, it's gone. It's going to be nighttime, it's going to be very dark, hard to see things, and you put it on the ground, it just disappears. So if you have a white towel, set it on the ground first, put your stuff on top of that, you'll be able to see everything a lot better. Secondly, it'll keep your stuff dry. I mean, if you're getting dew or something like that, you can wipe your camera down with it. If you wanted to put your camera on the ground and you forgot your tripod, set it on the ground, put your camera on top of it. There's all kinds of cool things you can do with a white towel. So yeah, it's not just for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There's a lot more to it. That's my
Always
tips.
know where your towel is.
Always know where your towel is. Do you guys have any tips for the meteor photos?
Well, I'd recommend that if you're going outside, I imagine you've talked about it many times before in your shooting at nighttime courses, but you always want to keep your ISO nice and low. Anytime you're trying to catch the meteors coming across the sky or watching the stars spin, you're going to be using really, really long exposures. Anything longer than, well, probably 5 seconds or so. So it's good to keep your ISO nice and low so that you have the clearest shot you can get with the smallest amount of kind of extra noise or extra grain brought on by super high sensitivities.
Yeah, good point.
So before you go out, make sure you're set to 100 or 200, whatever the lowest is. And if you're on a Nikon, make sure that your auto ISO is actually turned off.
Good point. Very
Problem
good point.
with that is you can set the ISO you want, but if the automatic ISO is turned on, it's doing things in the background, and you might not know what's going on.
You'll be making all kinds of changes. You're not seeing any difference it's making except for things are getting muddy. Yeah, good point.
And now the other thing to think about comes down to lenses. The larger your lens, or the higher the millimeter the lens, the less of the sky you're going to see. Now this will actually come into play because the less of the sky that you see, the easier it will be to have the stars spin in the sky. So if you're shooting with a, let's say, 18 millimeter lens, you're getting the entire sky in the shot, it could take 30 seconds to a minute for the stars to actually look like they're moving. But if you're zoomed in a lot, you're using a 300 millimeter lens, you're focusing on a tiny, tiny part of the sky, it could take a significantly smaller amount of time to start blurring the stars.
Which could be desired or not. And the really big problem with that is, of course, then you know that you're going to see a shooting star or a meteor. You're going to put your camera right where it was, hoping that you'll see another one, and there will never be another one there again. So the less of the sky you see, the less chance of actually capturing a meteor. So it's kind of a catch-22. You can get the effect of the more spin to the stars.
Yeah.
That's a neat effect on its own.
Yeah.
So good point.
As a rule of thumb for myself, I generally shoot, if I don't want the stars to spin, I shoot shorter than 30 seconds. Now, your cameras can shoot longer than 30 seconds. If you do want to shoot longer than 30 seconds, and again, Brian, I apologize if you've gone over this before, you would have to put your camera into a mode called bulb. Now, depending on what camera you have, you might have a B mode on the top, or you might have to go to manual. Slow your shutter speed down as much as you possibly can, from fractions of a second to full seconds, all the way down until it says bulb. Now, bulb lets you open the shutter for as long as you want. So if you're going to point the camera at the sky, you just hold the shutter button down for however long you want, 30 seconds, a minute, 3 hours, and take your picture.
Yep, remote helps with that though. Well, we gotta save a tip for Gabriel too, man.
Yes.
I'm good. He can cover everything. I'm fine with that.
I think ultimately you guys get out there and make some of these shots. It's perfect right now. Well, maybe in about 40 minutes when we're done our show, you should go outside because we got cool stuff to talk about. So let's get to it a little bit. First of all, people that are watching and joining in the Q&A. Glenn Hubbers, he says he's online for a change. Very cool. Thank you, Glenn, for being online. Greetings from North Bay from Mark Flinders. He's got a couple of photos in our photo challenge this week, so we're going to hear a little bit more from Mark in a second. Hi, Gabriel and Brian from Andrew. I guess Andrew didn't know you were here yet, Phil.
That's okay. I'm hiding.
He'll say hi next time. Tammy, hello for watching. Thank you. And Mark, he just got himself a new tripod. Yes, and you'll be returning it shortly. Stan's watching. Actually, Stan is going to be doing our boudoir and maternity photo sessions at the Photo Expo, which I'm very excited about.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very cool. Stanislav Yavorsky, sorry. Start that again. And Joe LeDuc is watching. Again, thank you so much, man. Thanks for watching. Joe was at a session with Phil not too long ago.
Yeah, I believe we have some pictures from that tonight.
Yes, we do.
Or
We
at
have
least one picture.
Well, one, but a good one, as they say.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So let's get into some other stuff. If you like what we're watching here, if you've seen our show before, please go to our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Let people know we're doing this. This is episode number 137, so we've been doing it a little while. And it would be nice to get some more people watching. It's a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, Gabe, I don't know if you know this, but we just hit 25,000 views on our show.
Nice.
Yeah, not bad for 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, slow, but it speeds up. It's exponential growth.
Let's just hope that's true.
Where do you go with that?
Yeah, what he said. And Andrew says hello to you as well, Phil. There you go.
Thank you. I can't see the chat.
Oh, the Q&A. If you hover your mouse over the left side of the window. I should say this to the world at this point.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know what's happening, there's a thing called the Q&A. It's part of this Hangout. If you have something you'd like to say to us, hover your mouse over the window that we're in. Along the left side, the options will kind of light up in front of you. Click the one that says Q&A, and along the right side, you'll be able to post your little comments, say hello, give us your 2 cents on what we're talking about for the photos, and just generally be a part of the conversation. So feel free to do that at any point, and we will bring it into the show as soon as it's appropriate. Also, guys, join the Daytripper photo community on Google+. If you haven't done so already, it's a lot of fun. It's a private community, so if you share a picture, we can't share it to the world. It's only in the community. We use this whenever we have a special session coming up. For example, the Don Komarechka macro photography classes. I mentioned it to the community first. It sold out overnight. I didn't even have a chance to post it public. So I did a second session, and it sold out within another day. So we actually have one spot that has opened for that session, which is August 18th. Coming up pretty soon. It's on Tuesday, so if anybody's interested, there is one spot remaining for the Don Com session on Tuesday, and there's still a few more down the road. But the point is, we put this out to the community first. So for those of you who are in the community, you get advance notice of these really cool sessions and all kinds of other cool stuff. You need help with your photos, post it, we'll answer it, and so on and so on. So please, Daytripper Photo Community on Google+, check it out. Check it out. You might enjoy it. And also, I always love thanking our sponsor for the show, LensPen. LensPen has been amazing for us so far. On all our day trips, we're able to keep our stuff clean so we get proper focus. And this was no more evident than at this last macro photography class with Don. One of the folks that was on the session had a filter that was just filthy. See, that's the problem I have with filters. They always get filthy, don't they? I guess that's what they're for, but man, what's this?
Well, it's better, the filter, than your lens.
Yeah. So I had to use a lens pen, and of course it was so bad the lens pen ended up just kind of smearing it around. You know those little lens pen circles you get? So then I had to use the cloth. Thankfully I had the Moneymaker kits with me. And the cloth with the pen, bada boom, done. Perfect, both sides, in and out. So definitely lens savers. I was going to say life savers, but they're lens savers. Good stuff to check out. Oh, Rachel, awesome. Thanks. I'm glad you're able to finally log on. Keep on chatting with us. Let us know what you think about the pictures. And is there anything else here? Okay, I think we're ready to get into the meat and potatoes. How about that? Almost on time so far. We're a little bit behind, 7 minutes. All right. Okay, cool. So tonight we're talking about the black and white portrait. Now, first off, who shoots black and white in camera? Gabriel? You do it, don't you?
Well, yeah. Yeah. I cheat, but yeah.
What do you mean by you cheat? What does that mean?
Well, do you want me to go into that now, or do you want me like a couple tips for shooting black and white?
Well, first off, do you ever shoot with in-camera black and white, Phil?
I do not.
No, you always do it afterwards in post?
I do. Back when I started, I did the in-camera, but I found that sometimes I like the picture in color, sometimes I liked in black and white. Shooting color and then converting it afterwards allowed me to kind of get the best of both worlds. I could make it black and white, put it on my wall. 3 months later, I can reprint it as a color picture, stick it back on the wall.
That's a plus side for sure.
Have a little bit more flexibility.
But Gabriel, we did was it in Niagara when you shot all black and white? One of our day trips.
Yeah, there's been a few.
Oh, it was the photo walk in Toronto when we did the photo walk in Toronto.
Yeah.
That's right. You did a whole bunch of black and white on that. And it was all in camera. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you did it on purpose to shoot all in camera, and I was shocked at the clarity and detail you got.
Yeah, so what I do when I say that I cheat by shooting black and white in camera is I have a setting on my camera, which I don't have with me right now, but if you... Oh, actually, no, I do. Just wait a second. I'm on my yoga ball, so if I disappear and you hear some loud crashing, it's just me falling. So one of the beautiful things about Canon, not to get into the Canon Nikon wars already, but you have, let me just pull up my video here. I've got my Lightroom open over top of it. So you have these 4 little dials, or actually a bunch of dials, but yet these 3 little sections called C1, C2, C3. And so I have my C1, C2, C3 individually programmed so that when I go to, is it C2? I'm trying to get some focus here.
There you go.
Which one is it? I thought it was C. Okay, so here, when I go to C1, now it automatically goes to black and white. It takes a raw image plus a JPEG. And it does that to both cards. So the nice thing with that is, when I take a picture, I look in the back of my camera, I see the black and white picture that I'm envisioning in my mind. When I download it onto my computer, I get the black and white picture from the JPEG that I was envisioning in my mind. It's already processed. The camera's already processed because it's a JPEG. All the baking is done. It's a microwave dinner. You know, you can put it right up to Facebook or whatever, you know, right from there. But then I also have the RAW. And the RAW, no matter what you shoot in, it always comes out as color. Right? And even if you switch it to JPEG, even if you switch it to black and white, it's still not going to be quite the same as before because it hasn't been baked yet. So I always have the JPEG there to kind of refer to. Mm-hmm. And so if the JPEG is good enough, right, and I'm happy with that, I just share the JPEG. If it's not, it needs a little bit more cooking, which it usually does, and I turn the RAW into black and white, and then I, you know, play with it from there. But so that's what I mean by I cheat, is that I shoot both at the same time. and I get a RAW, I get a color and a black and white image for my camera.
I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, aside from filling up a lot of memory card space, which is not big a deal.
I mean, the JPEG usually isn't all that big. You know, the RAW is 25 megs, the JPEG is 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 3 or 5, right? So you're really not filling up all that much more space. And in all honesty, you know, we have, 32 gig cards nowadays. I can usually shoot, you know, a wedding and a half on one card.
It's funny you say that. 32 gig cards in about 2 years is going to sound so small to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all these 50 megapixel cameras coming out now. Unbelievable. Well, good tips.
It's a good way to do it, and I really enjoy it. Now, you do have to go into Lightroom sometimes and change the setting. There's a setting saying if there's a JPEG attached to the RAW, treat it as a separate image. So if you import all your images and you see all the RAWs but you don't see any of the JPEGs, go into Preferences and there'll be a little check mark saying treat the JPEG as its own image, otherwise it'll just bundle. And there you go.
Are you freezing up, or is everybody freezing up?
I think he might be, because I think I'm okay. Oh,
am I fine now?
Yeah, it's a little bit laggy there, Gabe.
Oh, okay. Oh, weird.
Now, I should say that there are times that I do shoot black and white in camera, and it's mainly when I use this.
Oh, jeez. Nice little twin lens there.
Not much you can do with film.
That's all right. It's okay. Actually, it's funny, you know, on the Don Komareska session, I pulled out my Minolta film camera, and I did a couple shots with it. I never realized how frustrating film was.
You know, you get to take all the pictures you like, wait 2 weeks to get them back, and realize you messed something up. Lots of fun.
I'm sure it'll be a blast. Rachel has a question for us. She says, do you guys recommend shooting in both modes, RAW and JPEG? I'm going to answer first, and then I'll pass this off to you guys. Okay. Personally, no, I don't. I think that it's a waste of space. I do far too much shooting in my life to have to get both, and I only use the RAWs anyway. So for me, no, I only think the RAW is what I would do. Now, for what Gabriel suggested, that might be totally different, right, Gabe?
Yeah, that's the only time I ever do that. That's the only time I ever do RAW plus JPEG. Is when I'm shooting black and white. Every other time it's just RAW.
I would say that I shoot basically RAW all the time. However, RAW plus JPEG can make a lot of sense depending on what software you're using and what computer you're using. Because if you're using, let's say, a Windows machine with, let's say, Photoshop Elements, in order to view your RAW file, you're probably going to have to open it up in software. And then to open every single RAW file to decide whether or not you like it, it's going to take a lot of time. So shooting RAW plus JPEG in a situation like that would work great, because you can see the JPEG, quickly view it, decide if you like it, and if you do, great, edit the RAW file. If you don't, delete both. But if you're shooting and using Lightroom, Lightroom will basically handle a RAW file the exact same as it will a JPEG. So you just dump all your files into Lightroom, you can easily view the RAW file. I wouldn't find a purpose for the JPEG side.
Well, I guess ultimately it comes down to preferences, your workflow that really makes the difference. What you're doing with your photography dictates what you do with your images, and if you need to shoot both, then go for it. I want to break away for a quick second. I just got a text from a friend. He says, this is a young DTPer. So this is Sean's daughter here. Let's see if I can get this going. There she is watching us on the show. Whoa, that was crazy. Yeah.
You know that look that small children make, that look of stunned silence right before they start screaming uncontrollably?
Yeah. That's awesome. So anyway, thanks, Sean, for sharing that. That's really cool. All right, so I just had to shut my headphones off. There's a loud hiss coming. Is that me or you guys?
I don't hear anything.
Don't hear anything?
No.
Maybe it's just me.
Try muting your mic for a sec, Phil.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Headphones.
Okay, I'll lose headphones.
So it's
back in a second.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, cool. So Phil's going to take care of that. Meanwhile, we're going to move on with our photo review. So that was fun. Gabe, I guess You want to do the screen share today?
I sure do.
There you go.
Not only do I want to, I demand
to. And you're so demanding, my God.
I know, right?
So again, for everybody who's watching or maybe just tuned in, we're going to talk about our photo contest, the Black and White Photo Challenge. Whoa, look at that screensaver background.
It's my unlimited motivation. I told you I'm training for. That's what I'm going to look like.
Oh yeah.
I told you I'm training for Tough Mudder.
Yes, I got the guilt trip.
Yeah, when I do it, everybody around me has to do it too. So that's my every time I minimize a window, because I have my whole setup on my desk that I can do sit-ups on right on my yoga ball, right? So I'll be like, drinking my coffee or something like that, and I'll minimize my window, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, I should be doing 100 sit-ups right now. So.
Phil, it is something else. I'm still hearing the noise, even though you have your headphones in, so I just muted you up.
Okay. That's weird.
It might be something with your
mic.
Try
unplugging your microphone, then plugging it back in. See
how that works out. Okay, so since you're doing a screen share there, why don't we start off with Mark Flinder's photo? Now, Mark submitted 2 shots. This one that you see right here, soft, it's not an official photo because that was actually submitted before the show started, like during the show. So this is taken beforehand, but it's a very cute shot, very humorous. Basically, he was at a hotel and he took all of his soft pillows that were in the hotel because his wife usually hoards them, and stole them all for himself and sent a picture back to his wife like, "Heh, I got all the pillows." So I think it's pretty funny. Nothing. Nobody. Gabriel, nothing.
Oh.
Are you saying?
No, it's good.
I'm waiting for something. All right. Heather, hi, how are you? So Heather posted a picture of Dixie the other day, which I thought was pretty funny. She was taking pictures of the flowers next to my house, I guess, and Dixie was staring at her out the window. And she took a picture of my cat and posted it to the community, which I thought was really funny.
Oh.
Yeah, weird. Phil, that sounds much better. What'd you do? Oh, it's because we can't hear you. You're muted.
There's no microphone at all.
Nothing at all. No, can't hear you. Nothing.
No.
All right, you keep working on that, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, we're giving you no help. This is the trials of being the rookie on the show.
We always say Brian sounds better when he mutes himself, but so you got a snowball like I do. I'm holding mine up to the microphone except to the camera, but I'm screen sharing so you can't see it. Try a different USB cable. Also, there's a little switch on the back. Make sure it's set to 1. And don't verbally respond because we can't hear you.
Yeah, so it just looks pretty. We're laughing. It's all good. All right, cool. Mark says, "Hey, I'm cute." Yes, you are cute, Mark. There's no argument. Okay, so which is the next photo we're talking about?
Let's go with, Phil had a lot of points on these images.
He did, and you know what? There's actually 3 photos from Richard, so we're only going to pick one anyway.
Oh, okay, so which one should we...
Why don't we pick the lady from Uganda?
One here?
Yes.
I like this one.
I do too. And I think there's a lot of good points that we can make about it. And Phil, we still can't hear you. You look like you're singing, though.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a
really nice ballad. Okay, are you using Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Mac.
Mouse read. Yes.
Cannot help you. Shoot, it's easy in Windows. But make sure that you're... okay, so in the gear icon, the joys of live TV, everybody. In the gear icon in the Hangout, click on that. And make sure that under the microphone is selected, because it may not be.
How about now?
Now you sound fantastic.
Okay, so the entire time it was not selected.
Oh, so you're using a different mic.
Okay.
Yes, so this probably will sound better, and that hum thing should be gone.
Your hum is gone, and you sound like a new man.
Okay, perfect. And I'm set to 1 on the blue.
Okay. Great. And Gabe, can we hear you too, Gabriel?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay,
We are good to
back.
go.
Good to go. All right, so this is the photo
There's a
from
thumbs up to the camera, but I'm screen sharing, so you can't see it.
Takes some getting used to. Okay,
Yes,
so
it
this is the shot that we're going to talk about. This one is a shot that he took in Uganda, northern Uganda, and I love black and white contrasty photos like this. Phil, you had some points that you wanted to make. Gabriel mentioned a few minutes ago. Phil.
Sorry?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. So I'm just getting everything set up back over here. I moved everything around.
Are you looking at Gabriel's screen?
Yeah, I'm just trying to click on it, but I have stuff in the way. There we go.
Okay, got it.
There we go. Okay, so we're back up.
Yeah, so you had a few points that you mentioned in the pre-chat about this.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about it, and one of the things that we were talking about was trying to add a little bit more kind of light to her, so using a bit of like a fill flash or maybe a reflector to add a bit more light to her to help kind of soften the shadows.
I think a reflector would be a tough thing to do in this environment.
Probably.
You're in Africa, you're walking around with a big reflector. You know?
But in other situations that are more controlled, that would be an alternate to using, let's say, your fill flash.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And like the plane photo later on, that's something we can talk about, right?
Yes.
But for something like this, even if you were to just use your pop-up flash and potentially do a little flash exposure compensation.
Yep.
Dial it down a little bit, right? So it's not really putting full pop in there,
yeah,
but just a little bit of kick. And I think you mentioned that, just a little bit of light coming in, right?
Yeah, not a lot, just a little bit to help with the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Give a little.
That's where the contrast gets a little tough to see.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, one of the Gorilla reflectors that I use a fair amount is just a white T-shirt. You know, if you have, and I did this once in Vegas where I was taking a picture with my phone and I knew it was going to be all shadow and there was a guy walking by and I just grabbed him like, dude, can you just stand right here for a second? And he was a larger guy and he was wearing a white T-shirt and he bounced the light right back in. I took the picture. Thank you very much, and away we went.
That's even better than a voice-activated light stand.
Yeah.
Voice-activated diffuser.
Reflectors are everywhere. They're everywhere.
Well, it's a matter of seeing light, right? And I remember the first time that I ran into this situation, I had been to a wrestling event with Shelly, and we got some portraits done with some of the wrestlers, and I showed them to Martin. You know Martin, Phil?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows Martin. So I show him to Martin, and here I am all proud. Hey, look, here's Shelly with Paul Heyman, or here's Shelly with, you know, these really big names in wrestling. And I'm like, oh, I took some cool pictures of big wrestlers. And Martin's just like, what? Where's the light in their eyes? You know, like, why didn't you use your fill flash? What's going on? I was like, oh, great, I'm suck. Great, thanks.
with any comments or any, I'm going to call it, you know, creative criticism, it's always something to use to kind of learn from. And Martin can, if you ever go in the store and you talk to Martin, he can be direct, but you know, you will have a point at some point.
Yeah, he will have a point at some point.
And so you mentioned, you know, light in eyes, and that's the other thing with this shot that could benefit, you know, massively from either a reflector or from a fill flash is getting a little bit of catch light in the eyes just to bring a bit more life to them.
Now, one thing you could also do is bring a little flash, a portable, just a flash that you can walk with. Yep. I talk about it all the time. I use the Nikon Creative Lighting System, and if I'm just walking around doing street photography, I can have a flash in this hand, my camera in this hand, and then just put the light where I want it to go. And that's probably not something that's so out of place for even a photo like this.
Especially when you're out in kind of, you know, middle of nowhere, you don't have access to, you know, the power that you would need normally for, let's say, studio lighting. The Creative Flash System, or it's a Nikon Creative Flash System, but everything from pretty much the Canon T3 to any new camera that they make that has a pop-up flash on it can control other flashes wirelessly in the very same way that Nikon can. So whether you shoot Nikon or Canon or really Sony, you can fire your flashes wirelessly, and it can be a fantastic option, especially because it lets you get light, you know, coming from over here as opposed to straight on the camera, and make your shots look less like you used flash and more like natural lighting.
You can actually mimic the sun's direction or counter the sun's direction in the same way. Yeah. Actually, my first time I used that was with my old Sony, my old Alpha.
And Sony and Nikon, I think, were the first to do it, and then I think Olympus, some of their cameras, and Canon kind of followed suit.
And if you don't have that, you can always buy.
Year or so.
What's that?
In the last year or so.
That's true, in the last year or so. But if you don't have the triggers built into your camera, you could always just get like Pocket Wizards or Cactus
or
transmitters or something.
A cable that brings you from your
Yeah.
hot shoe to your flash. You can get them for relatively cheap online, or you can see Brian for a real one. And they're fantastic. And whether you fire wirelessly or you fire attached to a cable, you still can have your same TTL or through the lens metering firing, so you don't have to add a layer of complexity. It's simply just your flash firing, the same as it would on your camera, just without having to deal with it being on your camera.
Yep. Lots of things you can do, and the only reason we're going into these details is because a portrait like this and a little bit of extra light in the face is that extra 10%. And that's really what we're trying to do, is give you that extra 10% so that your pictures look a little bit better than everybody else's, and we're filling up your toolbox with little tricks here. So,
could be fun. All that being said, it's a great photo.
Absolutely,
it's a great portrait.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great look. It's square cropped, as everything seems to be going more and more nowadays with Instagram and people looking at everything on their phone. That way, you don't have to care whether it's vertical or horizontal. But she's positioned very well. I wonder if the rule of, you kind of modified the rule of thirds to go for square formatting, and if you do that, then she's set in there perfectly.
Absolutely.
Yep, I think you would. I mean, obviously, the rule of thirds is just a guide for you to help keep your eyes and your brains happy. Subconscious brain kind of control, and you're definitely going to get that with a 1-to-1 crop as well.
Yeah. And you can still print a 1-to-1 crop. You generally just have to print as the size up and cut off the part you don't want.
Good tip.
Right.
And then framing it, you either get it custom framed or just get a matte cut and fit it into a normal frame.
And I think it's good that we're bringing up printing. We don't bring up printing enough.
And because your pictures can look pretty on your computer, but they look even better on your wall or on someone else's wall if they pay you for it.
I just printed off a whole bunch of wrestling prints earlier today.
Okay.
Take them to the wrestling matches and try and show them off. Could be cool.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. On metallic paper, no less.
And that's the nice thing about printing these days.
Nice.
Is, I remember back when I started at Henry's, when I was at Henry's, I should say, the only thing you really could print on was glossy or matte photo paper. And the creative materials that you can print on has drastically expanded. You can print on, as you said, metallic paper. You can get prints straight on metal, on wood, on plexiglass. If you want it, you can pretty much print on it.
And some of these prints, like the Richard's photo of the lady from Uganda, that would be an amazing print. So
absolutely.
Very cool.
And you can change it up and put like a black mat instead of a white mat, and make really interesting pieces of art out of your pictures.
We'll go into framing in one of the further pictures. We'll go into framing and how that can really help with black and white photography.
Right, good point. Okay, but for now, let's check out Tammy's shot.
All right. And there it is.
There it is. So Tammy had 2 photos as well. Actually, yeah. She had 2 photos as well. I think we're going to talk about the Mudman.
Mm-hmm.
The Mudman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the Mudman?
That's the Mudman.
There you go. He's doing mutter. He's doing Tough Mudder. And,
I want to know about this. I mean, is this Jesus? Like, what's going on here?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not Jesus, but, nothing's ever 100%.
The photography's been around a while. I don't know.
Maybe not that long. But
it's a super interesting photo. It's a very tight crop. I think that's what's really interesting about it. It's a very tight crop, but yet she left the ropes that tie his hat on perfectly in the shot. And one thing that's neat about this being a black and white is it doesn't matter if that stuff around his mouth is yellow or pink or blue or whatever. The absence of color just makes it texture, I think this is
could be in a pie eating contest, and that could be like, lemon meringue fill or something like that, but it's
and if it wasn't named Mudman, then who knows what it could be. I don't even want to think about what it could be, because it's
shaving cream or something.
Oh, man, it could be some pretty bad stuff. I don't know. But
Brian, move on.
Okay.
Reel it in.
Reel him in every now and then.
So,
I like places.
I like the shot because she filled the frame with the subject. You removed everything besides the subject, so the only thing you're concentrating on is him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the obstacle he just climbed over or swam through or whatever it was to get to this point. You just have him. So filling the frame can be a great part of composition.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think is funny is we're all kind of assuming this is a Tough Mudder kind of thing, when it could just be he's really dirty.
Yeah, you never know.
It's very interesting when you
It rained a lot like 2 weeks ago, so.
Yeah, right. Anyway, Tammy, if you're watching, I'd love to get some backstory on this gentleman. The photo itself is striking. I saw you zoomed in before, and were you checking focus?
No, well, not only focus, but you can see the catch lights in his eyes,
Yes.
and that's for portraits. I know we were sort of focusing on the black and white here, but one of the universal rules for portraits is make sure the eyes are in focus and make sure there's a catch light. That's what adds, even if you have to add it in later, and I've done that before, that adds life to the eyes, and these catch lights are fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you. Good point.
And if there's light in the eyes will be lit up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Then in a portrait, especially something this tight, the eyes are probably the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the story.
Yeah.
Well, that plus the mud.
Yeah, that too.
The mud. Mud is important. All right, cool. So let's move along. Let's see what we have next. Unless you guys had something else you wanted to add.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. And by the way, for those of you watching, if you don't remember, the Q&A is open, so feel free to say anything you want to us. If you don't remember how to do that, hover over the window you're looking at, hit the Q&A button along the left side, and along the right side, you'll be able to tell us what you want to tell us, anything you want to say.
Yeah, and if you have comments on these pictures as well, feel free to kind of bring it up.
Exactly, because, again, these are our opinions based on our experiences, but we always like to open this up to everybody, which is why this is a community show. We want everybody to be a part of it.
I would say, if you agree with our critique, you are right. If you disagree with my critique, you are right.
Exactly. Okay, so guys, Tammy has replied here. She says he is an actor, I think. Crazy, eh? Totally crazy. I'd like to know what he's playing in. It's like some sort of Shakespeare in the Muddy Park. Very cool. Okay, see, what do we have next here?
So if we're not doing that one, then we'll go to Ashley's.
Let's do Ashley's.
Okay.
Ashley's. There you go.
All right, now, when we were looking through our photos at the beginning here, Phil picked this one out right away. Phil, why don't you start with your thoughts on this shot?
Well, I started off, I really liked this picture, but as we looked a little closer, it appeared to be slightly on the soft side, and I was thinking it could be soft maybe due to a little bit of handshake or motion blur, and we actually went to take a look at the EXIF data, that kind of sidecar bit of information attached to every picture, and it was actually absent. So I don't know what shutter speeds or what settings would have been used to take this picture, so we can't work backwards to figure out what may have happened. But it has every part of being a nice picture, except it just seems a little on the soft side. And
don't you hate when that happens? We all get these photos where we have a composition is perfect, the processing looks great, it's telling the story we want to tell, and yet it just doesn't pop. It doesn't have that extra 10%, and that's what we're talking about here. The photo, I think, is beautiful. I think you agree with me, and until we looked at it large, I think this was one of the high-ranking photos in your mind.
Absolutely. I had like 2 or 3 picked out that I really liked. This was definitely one of them, but it's just it seems like there's a bit of something going on, but again, without the EXIF information, it was very hard to figure out what that was.
So my thoughts for a picture like this is when you're taking pictures of kids or anything like that indoors, always remember to overestimate your ISO so that you have enough shutter speed to give you that sharpness. Sometimes it's okay to have graininess if there's sharpness.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't need sharpness. It's not all about perfect photos. I mean, sometimes you can make a photo you love. Like this picture, I'm sure for you, Ashley, this means a lot. This is a very personal photo. It's a beautiful face that you've got, a capture that you've got.
Expression.
Exactly. There's a great story going on below. I'm sure for you this is a perfect photo, but this isn't necessarily that extra 10%, and that's what we're getting into.
Now, there is a trick to something like this, if I can, because I'm going to bring it back to printing for a second.
Speak to us, trickster.
With a picture like this, where, you know, it looks great, but there's just a little bit of softness happening, if you printed this on normal photo paper or like matte or satin or glossy, you would notice that bit of softness. But if you were to print this on something like canvas, canvas eats a little bit of sharpness anyway, so it would look awesome on canvas. So if you ever have a picture like this, it's, you know, a little bit soft, you really, really like it, you want to print it on alternative medium. And a lot of the, let's call it like imperfections, whether it's, you know, really grainy or not as sharp as you'd like it to be, you can hide some of that inside the canvas.
Add some forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing too, like it looks like it's either one of two things. If I zoom in here, it looks like it could be a little bit of camera blur, like motion blur
on the eyelashes.
But then the mouth, it could also be a depth of field thing because the mouth looks a little bit more in focus than the eye, so it could just be that the focus point didn't go exactly where it was supposed to. But I mean, you kind of have to zoom in to see it. Like it's small enough that I think it would definitely be fixable. And they have a new feature in Photoshop, a de-blur feature specifically for camera shake, for lens shake. So you can run it through there, and I can't remember exactly how to get to it right now because I do it so rarely that every time I do it I have to Google it. But it's, you know, just Google Photoshop remove lens blur, and it'll walk you through there, and then open it up in Lightroom, grab the brush tool, switch it to sharpen, you know, put it up to about 30, and run it over there and over the eyes, and it'll probably be good enough to make it, you know, I don't want to say a decent print because it is a decent print. It'll probably, you know, add that extra 10% that you need.
Very cool. That's a good tip.
Now, the other thing I noticed about this picture is it's very small. I'm pointing to it on my mouse, but on my screen I realize you guys can't see that. It's about 930 kilobytes.
Oh, right.
Really tiny. So all of our like nitpicking could be because it's just there's no information there. The picture on you know, Ashley's computer at full resolution could look fantastic, and it's just because there's no information, we're stretching it so big, we just can't see anything.
If you're just a really quick tip, if you're exporting from Lightroom, and you can create export profiles. So you see here I have full quality desktop, and then I have web ready. Don't you know, just create another profile for Daytripper Photo, and you know, go down to image resizing and uncheck resize to fit. Put up as you know, you don't have to worry about people stealing your photos when they go up to the Daytripper Photo community because it's a private community and you can't really do that. Don't be afraid to, you know, if you're sending it up there for a critique, give us the highest quality image you can give us. You know, give us the best you know, version of your image for us to look at.
Yeah, because we do tend to get a little bit nitpicky on some things, and we don't want that to be because of oversampling or downsizing or things like that too. Because then you've got your great photo at home, and we're being jerks.
Yeah, and the other thing is, even if you don't have an export preset, if you do an export of one picture at a time, you can still check or uncheck that box. So if you're not being super technical with Lightroom, you can still just either click it or don't. The other thing I would also make sure the camera settings are actually set to a higher resolution in case they're set to something super small.
Right.
Just
Andrew makes a good point too. He says he really likes the lighting on this one. He says the fade from left to right really adds something eye-catching. I agree with that. That highlight
good
on the face,
that
draws your eye to the face. And this is something I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. How one of the tips that I even went over today with Don in my critique, how by using the light parts of your photo to draw your attention, you're able to tell a different story. So having that part of the face nice and bright draws your eye straight to it, and nothing else in the photo is brighter than that, so it's not pulling you away.
Right.
Really cool point. All right, let's
I
move on.
love the picture. Yeah, I mean, I would love to put this, this picture up on a wall in a big print. But right now, if you were to do it, on a metallic or a normal glossy, especially when it's larger images really bring out the imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying canvas adds a lot of forgiveness. That would be one of the options. But I think 15 minutes in Photoshop and Lightroom, and you can just fix that right up, and it would be great for a large print. Because that'd be a great picture to have on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody wants to attempt that with the critiques and opinions that we give, go right ahead and post them back to the community and say, hey guys, thanks for the tips, or don't say thanks, that's up to you. And and say, here's a redone version of the edit. See what you think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Let's check out the next photo.
All right, so we're going to go to Mark's.
This is
Yes.
Mark's
Is this the one?
official. Yes.
Okay. This is the official one.
The official entry. I believe this is his
right.
friend Jason. Jason did the spinning at one of our Fire on Ice sessions.
Okay.
Now, when Phil was first talking about this one to me earlier, pointed out all the things that I liked about the photo, but I was waiting for what throws me off of the photo, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit. So, Phil, go ahead. Tell me what you were thinking.
Well, I started off, I like the picture. I like the lighting coming around him, the kind of contrast in it. And then disappeared. And then we started talking about kind of the composition of it. And we were leading to kind of the line of his arms kind of lead you into the shot, but also then straight out of the shot.
Yeah.
So we liked the picture, but I think both you and I agreed that maybe a little bit of a different organization, different composition on it, maybe moving him, let's say, closer to the left side, or you had an option for a slight different pose.
Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, Mark corrected me. This isn't Jason, this is Brandon. So when we were shooting in the cold, we were all wearing stuff, so I couldn't tell. Lots of layers makes it difficult to tell. But no, this is a different guy. Yeah, my thought, Phil, was basically that left arm of his reaching back. I mean, if you're trying to show his tattoo, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if he had pulled that forward and gone in some sort of fighting stance with that arm forward and then crop it to the back of his head,
Mm-hmm.
I love the light on his face. I love the rim light in the back of his hair. But the arm reaching backwards, like you said, it draws you right out of the photo.
Yeah. But this is also a great example of catch lights. If the catch light wasn't in his eye, you would have no detail there, and the picture would look kind of dead. But having the catch light in his eye just gives you that extra kind of bit of life and bit of light in the shot.
What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, fitness photography is something that I am incredibly interested in, and something that I'm looking at getting into a little bit more. The human body is so hard to shoot, especially when you're trying to accentuate certain aspects of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here, you really have to figure out what it is you're trying to show off, and then try and get the exact right angle to get it, right? So here is it, are you trying to show off the back? Are you trying to show off the arms? Are you trying to show off, the most noticeable rim light is along here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, so it's a good picture. I don't like. Maybe if it was in a deeper depth of field and this arm was all in focus instead of having the blur there and having it sort of warp out a little bit with the lens, the distortion that you get with the lens. Yeah, I think it's maybe just a little bit too tight for what I'm used to seeing. And I'm trying to. There's one photographer who is just unbelievably amazing, Fedor Schmidt, and some of his stuff is a little bit racy, but I'm trying to find one of his photos because he does some self-portraits, and the guy's got like 0.2% body fat.
Ugh.
And just his lighting and his angles and his it's just unbelievable. But I'm trying to find one because he had one similar to this, but he had a slightly different angle. and I'll see if I can pull that up, and I'll show it when I find it. But
while you're doing that, we've got a few comments in the Q&A. First, Stanislav says a square or portrait crop might be a solution. So portrait crop, kind of go vertical with it, right? Mm-hmm. But Mark says that this is he says, first of all, our comments are fair, but this was a shot that would showcase his muscles. So it was for a fitness competition, and this pose flexed him nicely.
And for that, it does a great job of it.
Yep, I agree with that. The detail in the back should still be there, but that rear shoulder still looks disjointed.
I think that could just be the muscles on the shoulder, like through the neck.
So just tell him to not be so muscular, and I won't be so upset about it. Because, I see muscles bigger than mine, and it kind of pisses me off, Nah, I'm just messing around. And Mark, actually, it's funny, because Phil, you taught him how to do the rear light on his first ever day trip.
There we go. It's coming around full circle.
That is pretty cool.
So and I tell you about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Heather says even if you crop to the left shoulder, might be an option. But again, to show the musculature on that rear arm, I guess is really what he was after. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Gabe?
There's this guy at my old gym in Newmarket, and I call him Mr. Photoshop. And I was down about 25 pounds, and I was starting to, you look in the mirror, you can see some abs and stuff. I'm walking past the mirror, I'm like, not too bad, not too bad. And I turn around the corner, and there's this guy. I swear to God, he's been photoshopped, like the most defined abs I've ever seen in my life. And I just stop and I look at him like, dude, come on. He's like, what? I go, I just saw myself in the mirror. I'm like, not too bad. And I turn around the corner. I see you. Are you kidding me? He just started killing himself laughing. He's like, yeah, sorry, buddy. I'm like, God, jeez.
That's not his fault.
No. But they always say never compare your middle with your beginning with somebody else's middle.
Ah, yes. Funny. Phil, to your point about full circle, Mark says Phil circle. Circle. Phil circle. All right, cool. All right, so let's move along. Let's check out the next pictures. Great job. Right. Thanks for submitting, Mark. The rear light is great, and that black background is freaking awesome. I want to learn that.
And I'd also
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'd like to bring in that it's easy to kind of critique a picture, but then as soon as you start getting more information on it, more of a story behind it, things start to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Sorry to cut you off.
The one thing I would have done with this is probably burnt in here a little bit. I can see the lines from the backdrop there.
Oh yeah.
It's not too noticeable. Maybe it's just my monitor, but I can see the backdrop there. So I probably would have just painted in there just to darken it down a little bit, tiny little bit here and a tiny little bit there.
See, that's the thing that I have to do all the time. It's very much like my wrestling shots with the contrasty kind of black and white. But I have to spend 40 minutes just blackening out the background and paying attention to every body part and cloning and deleting. And so I don't know if Mark did the same kind of technique on this that I have to do, but yeah, I didn't notice that though, Gabriel, about the stuff in the background, but that's how I have to get rid of that stuff.
Okay.
Takes 4.
So this is not quite the shot I was thinking of, but it's close to it, right? So that one there. You can tell he's got sort of a little bit different lighting back there, and it has the same sort of effect. It's just not on an angle, and shows off the back winds there. The one that I was thinking of was on a little bit more of an angle, but not quite off the screen, like not out the frame. But just
I like
another
the background that he has there too.
Yeah, Fedor Schmidt, he's definitely not safe for work. This is, one of the few pictures that you can show. But I mean, God, his models and even himself are staggering and inspiring, and his lighting and his posing and his the way that he lines things up and stuff is just, it's inspiring.
Cool. Yeah. Mark just says he re-edited the photo after he posted it using his critique from the Arcanum. He darkened the background, also brought down the highlight on his ear.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, perfect.
Very cool. The Arcanum, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't considered this thing, it's a very good resource for getting different opinions from people who really know what they're talking about. And now that Mark is in my cohort, he has the best master, so very cool. Not me. I'm not the master. I'm just saying. It's Don Komarechka, who's been on our show before. Okay, this shot I really was waiting to talk about. First of all, Rachel, I'm glad you went to this, the Dames and Planes session. Phil was one of the instructors on this. Oh, and Mark actually follows Fedor on Instagram. Okay.
Oh, there you go. So he knows. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about.
Very cool.
He's a little, like I said, a little racy, but just awe-inspiring.
I will have to check him out. But for this photo here, we talked earlier about how the brighter parts of a photo will draw your eye. And my first thought when I saw this is there's not quite enough light on the girl's face. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, all right, well, this session is a lighting session. There was a lot of talk of light, I believe. There's reflector use and stuff like that. Was that right, Phil?
Yes.
So my first thought was there's not much real light on her face. There's no catch light in those glasses. There's no lighting at all on the face. But if you look at the plane, the sun on the plane is very bright. So my eye feels like it's being pulled back to the plane all the time, and really kind of missing the point of the model as being that real focal point. Now, Phil, you said earlier that Rachel has some other photos that might have been better served for the challenge, but I like the crop on this, and I like the pose that she has, and I like the information that's in the photo. But I would just try like a graduated filter from the top down.
Okay.
And maybe bring your exposure down on the top, and then possibly brought her exposure up with a selection tool. Just grab a brush, draw on her, kind of bring up your exposure just a little bit, very, very subtle, so that it doesn't look like, hey, like glowing girl kind of thing. But it's about where the light is taking your eye, and that's what I'm seeing from this. What do you think of that, Gabriel?
Yeah, I just really quickly pop this open in just a second. I just upgraded to Windows 10, and I'm trying to figure out how everything works here. Okay. So I just quickly open this up here, and you can see with just a little bit of an adjustment brush. So I just went up 0.48 on the exposure brush, right? And you can see the difference, how just made her pop a little bit more, and it really, I mean, it's not even one stop, it's not even half a stop, right? But it can make a huge difference on making her pop. Now she's brighter than the plane in most areas, right? She's right in the middle of the photo, and then if you just take that and then go down to effects, which I didn't click on, and just add a little bit of a vignette like that.
There you go. Totally different.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And then you go, so there's your before and after. Right? And it's just that tiny little 5%. You know, this is a great photo. The model's adorable, the plane's super awesome. You know, but then you add that tiny little 5%, and it's really, you know, after sitting in Lightroom for countless hours, that you can take a picture and look at it for two seconds and know, okay, this is what I need for the 5%. You know, it's just experience, you know, and just, you know, sitting there and staring at photos and playing around and stuff that gives you that ability.
It's true. What do you think, Phil?
I agree.
Very good. And Phil was there, so you can't say anything negative because she knows you now and she will punch you.
I also would like to say that I actually just learned something about Photoshop. Lightroom, I should say. I've never clicked that little kind of light dark square. I didn't realize that would turn off what I did and turn it back on so I could see a difference. I always go to the history and just click through it.
Yeah.
I learned something.
Yeah, and also, if you go there, you click, go to the brush tool.
Yeah.
And click there. That'll do an undo. But then what I'm doing here for to show the before and after, you'll see it shows and removes all the effects.
Yep.
Is the backslash key.
Okay.
So the keys, backslash.
The one above enter.
Yeah, the one above enter. And if you hit that, it'll show you the before and after of your photo with all the effects.
That's awesome. See, I always just go to history or make a snapshot, and that's way easier.
Way
I like
easier.
that.
We're all about easy over here.
Yeah, and I've been using.
That's one thing.
a long time.
Yeah. And that's one thing I love about Lightroom is you can go through and gradually drag 15 sliders, and at the end you're like, God, I haven't made any difference whatsoever. And then you hit that little backslash key, and you're like, holy jeez, it's an entirely different picture. So you make enough gradual, tiny little changes, and you end up with something completely different than you started with.
Lots of neat little nuggets flying out. All right, cool. Let's take a look at the next shot.
All right. Is that Robert's?
Sure.
I like this one.
You do? Okay, so why don't you start talking about it?
Well, it's a good portrait. You can see the good catch lights there. It's a good pose. It's well framed. The back is completely blacked out. The lighting is cast across him, like it really shows off the jawline nicely and stuff. Yeah, I mean he's not overextending his neck. One problem that you run into a lot when you have a model that sort of you can see he's kind of hunched over, and one problem that you can run into is when people are overstraining their neck, and he's not. It looks like a relaxed pose. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a great portrait. I'm not a huge fan of the watermark, but I'm not a huge fan of any watermark. So, that's just me.
What do you think? What do you think, Phil?
I like it. I like the low key nature of it. Everything nice and dark, little bit of highlight. Background kind of pulls around, kind of pulls him into the background. I agree that the light coming across, accentuating, the face, like the stubble, giving kind of shadow everywhere. I really like it.
Okay,
I would agree with the watermark, though.
Yeah, there's a big anti-watermark pool in this cohort in this group community.
At least I gotta say the watermarks on the pictures in your group are all nice and pretty much subtle. It's terrible when you get a good picture and someone puts a giant kind of like stamped watermark in the middle of it, and it's a little excessive.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so here's my thoughts here. First of all, I know what Robert was doing here. Robert was trying to go for the black background method using flash. So this was taken about 4:20 in the afternoon, so it was light outside.
Yep.
And he specifically wanted to blacken out the background, so he shot at his maximum sync speed. He shot at a very small aperture, in this case f/25, and by doing that, he was able to completely black out the background and only have light where his flash hit.
Yep.
So I give you a lot of credit for purposely trying to get that effect. Yep. My real thought, though, well, that was real, but a second thought would be I would like to see a reflector on the backside. I find that there's a lack of dimension in his face. What you guys said is absolutely true. There's a lot of detail in the jawline, great, but there's a lack of dimension because there's no light hitting the backside of his face. You can't see the depth. You can't see how far back it goes, so it's kind of like disappearing off into black. If you had a reflector on the backside, just to kick a little bit more light back up into that side, his right side of his face, there'd add a lot of dimension to the shot, and it would have more depth. So that's what I think. I think it's a great job that you did, like I said, capitalizing on the look and getting rid of that background. But yeah, I need more light on that right side of his face, and that's just me. And again, maybe this is just a personal preference. I don't see that it's blue jays. I just see Jays. You know what I mean?
I like the fact that it does kind of pull itself in, because then you're concentrating more on him and not kind of everything else, not the hat or the writing. I will say that I didn't realize that this was shot in like the middle of the afternoon. Super technical way of doing things. Fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like a studio shot.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Robert. You've got a fan base. He'll be happy. No, that's seriously. When he submitted this photo, he came in the store. He says, "Okay, I get my LensPen now, right?" So we'll have to wait and see about that, Robert. Okay. Anything else to add on this shot, guys? Bueller?
No,
Anyone?
I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Well, considering that the show was supposed to end 10 minutes ago, we're gonna move it along a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So we'll just skip Blake's altogether.
Yeah,
he's got a couple here. Are we going to just focus on one of them?
Well, yeah, usually we should. There's a couple where there's somebody with a vape, the cigarette thing, and there's the Jazz Street Dancing one.
Mhm.
Yep.
So they're both good shots. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think the man vaping is more, or the street dancing is more of a candid photo.
I agree. It's telling a lot more of a story, which is kind of nice, but it does seem a little bit more like a candid than I would say maybe a traditional portrait. Now it could be like an environmental portrait where you have more of that story going on in the shot, but I don't know. It's walking that line. I think it's going to depend on who you're talking to.
Good point.
Yeah,
What do you could say it's a portrait of the city. It's a portrait of a relationship between the thin blue line. It's a you could get creative with it and say it is a portrait, but it's.
Why don't you show that? Why don't we show that photo then?
Oh yeah, sorry. I had that large.
Stalled. Is it frozen?
Can you guys see it?
Not yet.
I think it's frozen.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's happening?
Let me see here. Wait a sec. Stop sharing. Can you see me? Am I moving?
No.
No.
I'm not. Ha ha ha! So I'm gonna leave and come back. Maybe
I'll
if
jump
one of
in
you
here.
guys wants to do the share, yeah.
I'll do
Okay.
the share.
You got it, Phil?
Yeah, let me hit my share button. Share button. This one.
It's the green. There it
There
is.
you go. Can you see me?
I see a black screen now. Yes, we got you.
Okay, so we're going to the street one. This one.
That one there.
So this picture.
That's the picture.
So there's a lot going on in the shot. Like it can be a portrait of him. It can be a portrait, and just going off of what we said before. Portrait of city, portrait of a relationship between police and the community, which has been something that has been, let's say, politically motivated.
Strained.
That's the word. Over the last little bit, last couple of years. So I
Actually-
like this picture as a candid. I like this picture kind of as a portrait, but for me, it sits on that fence. It tells a lot more of a story than I think we'd get out of a traditional portrait.
Hmm.
What are you gonna say, Gabe?
It's funny. Just to go on a bit of a tangerine here. Everyone's talking about how this tension is like you just said, over the last couple of years. I was watching an episode of all the Fresh Prince of Bel-Airs are up on Netflix now, and you got they're in court for something, and Will Smith's friend Jazz is going up to testify, and he's standing there like this the whole time. And the judge is like, "You can put your hands down." He goes, "No, I put my hands down. I got 12 warning shots in my back." And it's a joke, and it's funny, but it's also, this was 20 freaking years ago.
Yes.
And it was
Bad
still going on.
foreshadowing.
I mean, it was going on. Yeah, it's like, well, and it's, it was something that was going on back then, and it had a resurgence now. I think they're saying there was 400 unarmed black people shot and killed in the United States last year. But I mean, this has been going on for a long time, so it's not a new thing. It's just it's amazing.
It's the fall of Rome, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, sorry,
Different podcast entirely.
So this shot here, my only thought on this is that it's kind of dark. It's very dark. I don't know. It's not just my computer, is it?
I don't know. Like for me, it seems. I will agree. The background's kind of dark. He's kind of dark, but his face, the back of the person in front of him, her dress, they seem kind of properly exposed. Maybe it's, just a little hair underexposed. So, bringing it into Lightroom, lighting them up a little bit, could maybe add to the shot.
Yeah, I know Blake, with his editing style, he kind of marches to the beat of his own drummer, He has his own way of doing things. He knows a lot of different editing softwares and techniques. So I know that this is an intentional look for him. I just thought, put it out there for discussion. What do people think? A little dark, a little normal. With what I mentioned before, how your eye is drawn to the brighter areas, the stuff in the background to the right of him, his right, the signage and the people in the back with the white shirts and stuff. I don't know, that kind of draws my eye away a little bit. I think a little dodging and burning might kind of help with that. Maybe some cloning. But again, that's just me being picky me, and I know Blake loves picky me.
I think that could work. He's the only thing that's super in focus, so I think that helps counter that a little bit. But again, it really depends on what his goal was for the shot. Because it could look perfect to him, and we could pick it apart. At the end of the day, and this goes with everyone's pictures, it really just has to look good to you.
Absolutely.
And you have to like it. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. At the end of the day, as long as you like what you shoot, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you start not liking what you're shooting that you've got to change what you're shooting.
That's a pretty safe thing to say, yeah. Gabe, what do you think of it?
I'm just going to do a quick screen share here.
Okay.
So here's the original, and this is with a little bit of brightening, a little bit of adjustment layer brush on the face, and a little bit of vignette.
Are you still there?
Right?
There you go.
Are you guys seeing the?
Yep.
Could you toggle it back and forth for a sec? Oh yeah, that's massive difference.
Yeah. So when you brighten the
needs.
whole image, it brings in some noise in the background, but the vignette gets rid of it wonderfully, right? And then I just took the adjustment brush and just on his face. You don't have to do anything with the lady. The lady's perfect. Just on his face. I didn't do the vest or anything like that. And that pops his face out, brings the smile up, brings the eyes out, everything like that. And So that's my take on that one.
Cool. Well, ultimately, like Phil says, it's up to how Blake feels about the shot. But since we're talking, that's what we think.
Well, and you have to have a good photo to start with to be able to, if it's not a good photo, it's going to take you 45 minutes in Lightroom. The fact that that took 12 seconds means it's a good photo to start with.
Absolutely.
Right? You just need that extra little oomph.
Good point. Okay, so who's going to be continuing the screen share here?
I can.
Okay.
I'll switch it out here.
Well, okay.
Oh, no. There we go. Here, let's pull this back up. Okay. You can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay, so we're on to this one next?
Yes, Andre's turn.
Okay.
This is such a cute shot of this kid. I had to really zoom in far to see if that was a real bunny. I don't think it is. I don't know. But I love what he's done with the light here. This is really going to my point of everything should be darker than your focal point.
Yes.
The grass is all a nice darker tone, and the little girl is the brightest spot. Now, I don't know if that was done through post or not, but it was very well accomplished. One thought, if I just hold a pencil to the top of the screen and get rid of that building structure, completely different photo. You see what I'm saying? Just crop off the top 2 inches of the picture, not even. And all of a sudden, it's a completely different image. So, again, that's back to that bright part. I don't need to, you don't need to crop in anything else.
I'm trying to get rid of it, but it's not working the way I envisioned.
I know, right? I'm not saying go one crop or anything like that. It's just literally just shave the top off, get rid of that structure that's in the background, and keep it just to the grass. And all of a sudden, you have a very smooth grass line with a very bright little girl, and that is a girl, right? Let's just hope, because I don't want to insult anybody.
Yeah, it's not insulting at that age, especially in black and white and stuff, because you can't tell if the clothing's pink or blue.
Right. But cute, very cute photo. I love the expression, and that's my thoughts. What do you guys think?
I agree. I agree with the cropping of the top. I didn't think about that before, but that changes the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So here, just really quick.
Oh. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah.
So there's the photo without the top. If I go Control Z. So all I did here is I brought it into Lightroom, and then I threw it into Photoshop and grabbed the lasso tool and just grab this and then right click on it, go fill.
Not Phil Zerato.
Make sure it's on content aware, click on OK, and there you go.
Done.
Yeah, you can do.
And you can even once you've circled it, you could just hit Shift Delete and it would do the same thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, go back for a second.
Look at that. Back. We're all learning things.
I know.
All right.
Try that.
Here. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I lagged out, so I'm stepping on you.
Okay.
You can
undo that.
edit a bit there, but yeah.
All right.
Okay, so Andre says he tried to do that, but it was too close to her head. Well, oh, Phil's in the window of death. There we go. Sorry, Andre. We get sidetracked easily. Yeah, so
that's a hard thing to do in Lightroom. Lightroom is for light lifting with cloning out. Photoshop is for the heavy lifting, and you can see Photoshop really has the algorithms to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you just circle the area you want gone, hit Shift Delete, it'll say, do you want to get rid of it? Choose the content aware, hit Enter, boom, done.
Yeah.
And then you can always go through afterwards. We noticed at the top there was the two sections that kind of look like each other. You can always go and clone or heal or content aware that way as well.
Yeah. God,
And that keeps you away from the girl's head.
Trish was working on a photo the other day, and she had to clone something out. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I showed her the lasso tool, right? And she's like, oh, that's kind of neat. I'm like, kind of neat? 8 years ago, that would have taken me 4.5 hours to do.
Yeah, I know. So true.
It's amazing what we have now.
It is so incredible. And yeah, content aware is what you're looking for that, Andre. And you know what? Do that to your own photo. I guarantee you that you're going to print that now and put it up on your wall and absolutely love it. Very
or
cool.
reprint it and put it on your wall.
Or reprint it. You only have CS4. CS4 has content aware.
Yep.
That definitely does it. Yep. Like Gabriel did, just lasso it, hit Shift Delete. It'll open up a little box, already be chosen content aware. So Shift Delete, Enter, done, gone, just like that. All right, so
all right.
Phil, you still screen sharing, or are you doing that?
Yeah, I'm gonna try it again.
All right.
Oh no, I don't think I can do it. Hold on.
Okay, here I'll
I think I can do this. Hold on. There we go. Is that working?
All right, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see it?
I'll stop
We
mine.
realize that Gabriel's just lurking in the background, waiting to take this opportunity from
No.
Yeah, he can. That might be switching out to Lightroom and stuff.
Yeah. Anyway,
Which one's the next one? This one?
No, that's Richard. We've already talked about Richard's.
All right. So that brings us to this one.
That brings us to that one. You go.
Okay.
So this is an interesting shot. This is the character in this person's face is awesome. When I first saw this, I thought that. First of all, I know Liz shot this photo, and my first thought was, tell me, please, that you did not shoot this with film back in the day. And I'm just kidding, Liz. Only kidding. Don't beat me up. Really love the shot. It's great clarity. I was making an age joke there with Liz.
Oh, the only one that actually shot the Civil War is Martin.
That's a good point. Of course, Liz is now thinking Joe LeDuc, and Joe is also going to beat me up, but that's okay. We have fun. We love our friends. It's all good. But no, I love the shot. This is one of those photos that I saw immediately and connected with. The expression on his face. It looks like he's just back from a battle, and he's pulling into his farm, and he sees his family for the first time after years, and you can just see his little grin come across his face, like, yes, I'm home. I get a whole story when I look at it. I love the processing. I love the vignette. I just think this is a really fun shot.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think? Phil?
I agree. I like the picture. I like the slight vignette on it. I like that she opted to go with both the horse and the rider in focus as opposed to just the rider. I feel it would have been unbalanced the other way because you're really taking kind of like two portraits at once. Now, this would be, I would say, like a great example of the environmental style portrait where you have it telling more of a story of what's going on as opposed to just being up close on his face.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, I agree. I like it. I would have done a little bit, maybe more with the vignetting. Maybe it seems a little. Sorry.
I was thinking that too. Just get rid of that left corner here.
You know what? Actually, I hate to keep it. I feel like I'm going all Scott Kelby. He often pulls up images on the grid and sort of edits them real time. But there's this fantastic, and actually, you know what? This is a tip that I wanted to get into later, anyways. So I might as well bring it up right now.
Are you switching to your screen?
Yeah. Do you not see it?
Okay. Yes. Oh.
Nope. Sorry.
I see it now.
Okay. There's this fantastic tool in Lightroom here, the radial filter. And so if you take that radial filter and drag it over like that and drag it down like that, it adds a vignette not around the edges but around that radial filter, right? And then maybe take the brightness of the image up just a little bit. There's a little bit of a before and after, and it leaves the horse there, but it draws the soldier out in a way that doesn't make it look like it's too processed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just, like, I love the picture, but it seems a little flat. Like everything's sort of the same tone, and if you do that, maybe bring that up a little bit here. If you do that, it adds a little bit of extra depth to it.
Agreed. I'm going to let you take over screen sharing.
Oh. So
Yeah,
shut it down. Okay. All right.
Because that way, if you're switching back to Lightroom and whatnot, it's all on the same screen.
Yeah, sorry, I don't usually do it that much, but...
That's okay.
Okay. Okay.
It's good, because we're learning lots of points and lots of editing tips.
Brian is muted.
Uh-oh.
I cannot hear you, Brian.
Button.
There you go.
There you go.
Button. It's the button.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a button.
I have a special microphone. It's got. Yeah, I bought it because it has the button.
Okay. I just have
It's not Brian proof.
All right, so Liz, beautiful photo. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for submitting. I thought it was fantastic, and actually thought it was almost a little too much on the vignette side when I first saw it. So,
There you
personal interpretation, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
I know, Liz, you have very good taste in your photography, so good job. Well done. All right, let's see. What do we have next?
All right, so...
Charity.
Charity?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, okay, so this is a wedding picture. This is a portrait. This isn't my forte. So, Gabriel, you start.
So I like the pose. Again, black and white really gives us the opportunity to make things pop. And you can go super high key, you can go low key, but you can really have the shadows be very defined. And this one here, it just, again, it seems a little flat. Like there's it's going to sound weird, but there's, or naughty, too many shades of gray.
Say there's more than 49 of them.
There's in the image. I like the photo, but it doesn't stand out to me. It just seems a little sort of washed out, almost.
Okay.
Phil,
Now maybe that's intentional.
It could be. Again, my thought was what Phil was talking about, how the diffusion panel on the window might be an idea.
Mm-hmm. Just soften that light a little bit.
Yeah. So explain what we mean by that. Explain the meaning.
Well, I would put something soft on the light coming in. I can't move the mouse around, so I'm going to make gestures with my hands.
Yes, you're not screen sharing right now.
Yeah. Soften what's coming in from outside, make the outside look less interesting, as well as to just give a little bit of a softer type of light onto her, and that would help, I feel, blend the shadows in a little bit and help make things, I think, a little bit more even.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you probably could do that through Lightroom, which, if there's something going on in, like, the window over here, but I think doing it as you're shooting would be kind of the best bet. Now, there's situations you can't, but if you can, it would be nice to kind of soften it beforehand.
When we did the Joe McNally session, he has photos where he would literally be shooting in a pitch black room, and it looks like it's sunlight inside because he has flashes outside and flashes inside, and huge big strobes aiming through this thing, firing through the attic,
firing through the window and stuff. Yeah,
49 flashes coming up his butt.
I wouldn't mind. Sorry, no. Finish your thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah, basically just to finish that thought. This isn't exactly a situation where you can always put those things on the windows because it's a wedding and things are moving along quickly and you've got to move on to the next photo and you can't just say, hey, hang on, let me run outside and put a scrim up on the window and So you can't always do that. So there's other tips though that you could do. I mean, even adding a little bit more contrast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a simple bit of clarity, maybe pop it a little bit. Maybe a little bit more of a vignette, a little bit of a selective graduated filter from the right side over to the left, darkening up the window a little bit. And there's a few things you could do, but I think ultimately the point being that Gabriel already mentioned how it's just a little flat.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we make it less flat? And that would just be a bit of pops.
Yeah.
Clarity.
I wouldn't even mind just a reflector on the inside, just taking some of the shadows away from the face, because the dress and everything, this whole section here is so much brighter than the face.
Mm-hmm.
Your attention is drawn down because you're always drawn to the brightest area of the image. So maybe even like an adjustment brush on the face, just bringing down those shadows a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a neat reflector kit you can get. It's very easy to handle by hand, the Lastilite Tri-Flip.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever need to get into a reflector system where you're shooting with one hand and you want to be able to bounce a little bit of light back up, I'm trying to find a good clean photo of a Tri-Flip so that people can see what it looks like. I went to the Lastilite website and it's not a good clean photo. So here we go. This will do. So
it's a good deliverable image. Like you can send that to a customer and they'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But just again, it's always that extra 10% that we're looking for. That you can send that to the customer and they'll be ecstatic with it.
Yes.
Exactly. So you can see here, it's got a handle on it. It's got all the different colors depending on skin tones. So just by literally holding it out and bouncing that light, you could do it very easily with one hand. And that would be something that might be needed in some people's kits.
And it's always nice to have a reflector, because whether you're shooting a portrait or you're shooting a bug, you might need to add a little bit of extra light in, and having one is a nice little thing. Now, does the Lastilite collapse onto itself?
Sure, yeah. You can fold it right up, goes in a little bag. That one there had the 8 different colors. You can buy it just as a scrim if you want it.
Okay.
Very cool. I think we're down to our last photo, aren't we?
I think so.
Yes, we are.
And this is the photo, Gabriel. You wanted to talk about the border.
Minutes over time.
Just a little bit.
For all the people that are still with us,
Yeah.
thank you for your patience. This is one that I mentioned in minute 3. So this one here, I love this shot. This is such a great shot. The background is nice and dark. The brightest thing in this photo is exactly what you want it to be. It's the face. Now, they kind of got lucky that our performer was wearing a dark outfit, right? So the face and the hands are the brightest thing in here. But what they've also done, and this is Fernando's?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what he's done is he added that white border. Now, picture this image without that white border, and it's a very different image. The black goes off to the sides and sort of gets lost in itself. Adding that white border really makes the image pop, makes the face pop even more, makes the hands pop even more. I love the photo. I love that what you want to pop out really does. And the only thing that drives me insane was what Phil brought up first. You want to go over that?
Sorry, yes, I'm typing away as I'm doing this. So the one thing that really kind of, I like the image. I like the fact that it's got the white kind of border around it. But at the very bottom of the shot, there's just a little bit of something that could
the sliver of insanity
just cropped out, and my OCD, which only comes in and every once in a while, wouldn't be going nuts.
It's CDO, alphabetically or in order, like the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really great shot. I love the 2 lights in the bottom right corner. They really balance that out and give it a bit more depth as well. Shows he's on a stage, not just as a static kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, very interesting. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for tonight's photos. If anybody is still awake, that's fantastic. The theme for next week is I know, I'm almost not too. The theme for next week is your best photo. Now, we were going to go into, if we had time, some of our pictures that we love. to think of as our best photos, but we don't have time, so we're going to leave that part of it out and get right to the grand winner for this week's photo challenge. That was a premature drum roll. I'm not going to say it quite. You got to build up some anticipation because Phil just suggested something. He has a differing of opinion on a winner, so he's going to sponsor a second lens pen for a second prize this week. What do you think of that idea there, Gabriel?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to you. Okay, so we're going to have two prizes for this week's photo challenge. One is the Daytripper photo prize of the LensPen Moneymaker kit. Da, 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 da. And the other is a second LensPen Moneymaker kit. Okay. Okay, so for those of you who are still watching our show right now, we are going to do the fun drum roll squirrely thing with the screen until we get to the winner, who is going to be the last photo we just looked at. Fernando is going to win one of the prizes this week for his picture of the Slipknot performer, because it's pretty cool and we love it. We think it's awesome. Good job, Fernando. And the other winner for this week's photo challenge is going to be Liz Barnes' photo of the guy on the horse. That's the one. Oh, yep, there it is.
There we go.
Yay! Good job, everybody. Awesome stuff. And by the way, a very close third place runner-up was I'm clicking the X on your screen on the Hangout. Like I'm closing it.
It really messes up, eh?
Yeah, it's horrible. I was actually going to pick Mudman as well as a winner, but
Great.
Mudman was great. Yeah.
there was a lot of great photos this week, so we can't really just pick one. And you guys all did really well. Thank you all so much for submitting your photos for this photo challenge of black and white portrait. Can't wait to see what everybody chooses as their photo for best photo ever. Your best photo. And remember, hashtag that, hashtag your best photo. Yeah. Great stuff this week, guys.
Also remember... sorry.
No, go ahead. All you, bud.
I was just going to say, just because this challenge is done, don't stop playing. One thing, black and white, God, black and white is so intimidating to me, because it really exposes, how you see the light. Right, but it's so much fun to play with. I spend more time editing my black and white photos than I do any others. And it gives you a lot of opportunities. Like you can go super high key. With this one, like you really the background and the dress really blend into one. The chair's almost not there, but you can see the smile and the laughter and the catch lights and everything perfectly. Black and white, not even just for portraits. This is a friend of mine's tent a couple of years ago at a campsite. Lit up like black and white is it can just be so much fun. So I would say, if this got you into black and white a little bit, when you start playing with light, it really helps you bring it out a lot more. Keep playing with it because it can really open up some fantastic avenues and some new possibilities and stuff.
Absolutely.
This was a Algonquin trip a couple of years ago. Black and white's great for landscape photography.
Infrared as well.
So much fun. Yeah, infrared. Yeah, I talked to Don Calm about that.
Yeah, Mark and I are going to get our cameras converted very soon. Very soon.
Nice.
Okay, Andrew says, wow, minute 3 was a really, really long time ago. That's absolutely true. So on that point, we have the theme, your best photo. In that vein, our quote of the week is from Imogen Cunningham, who says, which of my photographs is my favorite? The one I'm going to take tomorrow. So always remember that, guys. We may be asking you for your favorite photo, but there's always tomorrow. You're always going to be making more photos that you love, and that's what we love about photography is there's a new magic image just around the corner every day we grab our cameras. So get out there, make some great photos. Thank you all so much for watching our show. Don't forget to join the Daytripper community. Watch, like, share the show with your friends. Thank you again, LensPen, for your great prizes of our photo contests and for all the awesome stuff that you're making these days. The peeps, LensPen peeps, clean your eyeglasses, very cool stuff. And also, where can you contact us? Well, me, I'm Brian at daytripperphoto.com. That's Brian with the Y-in at daytripperphoto.com. Gabriel, where can folks get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at Gabriel at bousquetphotography.ca. It's Bousquet.
So anybody who needs help with their computers or wants wedding photography, event photography, that's the man right there. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, if you want, an OCD photographer to do your wedding pictures, I'm here. Yeah, and I also, as Brian mentions, I have a computer company that I've been running since '99 as well. So, computers and photography complement each other so well. So.
You're talking about your computer business you've been running since '99. You're like rubbing your face, like, oh god, my computer.
'99. Oh my god.
That's awesome.
A long time ago.
Phil, since you're the newbie on the show, and this is a new thing for you, and I know you didn't get a chance to talk about what you've got your poster behind you there, your registered retirement consultants and so on. Where can folks hire you or get a hold of you if they have any questions for you?
You can get a hold of me at PZORATTO, so Pizzorato, at CANFIN.com. And you can shoot me an email if you got questions about pictures, if you got questions about anything else, you're worried about a recession, you can always, legitimate worry, you can always get in touch with me, and if you have a picture that we commented on and you've re-edited it and you want to get kind of like a second opinion, shoot it off. We can take a look at it and have a chat.
Absolutely. Phil's now in the community officially. Thank you so much for joining up there, Phil.
No problem.
We're all here to help you out, guys, and we'll see you next week on our show as we review your photos for the best photo, your best photo challenge. And we've got some really cool stuff coming up. I'm just going to leak something here. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit before we say goodnight. Other than the fact that the expo tickets are on sale, guys, if you want to buy a ticket to the Daytripper Photo Expo, September 19th and 20th. Awesome instructors, some really great stuff coming in. I've got all the curriculum, all the information's been coming in. I've been trying to make posts and stuff like that about it, but still lots of tickets available for the Daytripper Expo. So go to daytripperphoto.com for that. But the big thing that I'm actually kind of stoked about, and Shelly is the Elvis challenge we have coming up. Yes, the Elvis challenge. In a future episode, we're going to give the challenge Elvis as our photo theme, in which case you can make any photo you want for the Elvis challenge. Now, this is going to help out what's the Flaming Star Flaming Star Elvis Festival, who's actually going to be a sponsor of our show for that period of time. And we're going to have a 3-week photo challenge for that. And on that 3rd week, we actually have an Elvis tribute artist from the Flaming Star Festival, which is going on. And he's going to be on our show singing an Elvis song for everybody and help us pick the winner for the Elvis challenge. So should be fun. You never know what's going to happen on our show.
Oh, you never know when I'm on the show.
I know, right? So, this is the Flaming Star thing right here. Lots of really great talent, Elvis tribute artists, and so on. So, guys, check it out. That's going to be on one of our future episodes. And Shelly's at the door here trying to tell me more. The date of the festival. So it's November 6th, 7th, and 8th in 2015. And tickets are on sale. Thanks, Shell.
Awesome.
All right, and hi, Mom. My mom's watching the show, so that's cool. That's great. Thanks, Mom. My mother's coming up for the entire month of September, by the way, which is going to be a lot of fun. She's going to be at the Photo Expo, so if anybody wants to see where I've come from, because, it's a pretty crazy place, come to the Photo Expo, meet my mom. It'll be a blast. Okay, thanks, everybody. We're going to say goodnight now. Sorry, Gabriel, for keeping you awake. I know you got to be up in 2 hours or something. So. No.
It's the summer. It's not so bad now.
All right, great. Okay, Phil, thank you so much for being on tonight. Good job, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me, and I want to thank everyone for their pictures. They were fantastic, and it was very difficult to try and pick the one that we actually really, really, really liked, so we picked 2.
We've been known to do that. All right, cool. Sponsor. Yes, my mother is actually sponsoring the expo, which is interesting. She told me this earlier today. So, yeah, my mom is a bronze level sponsor of the Daytripper Expo. Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
people care.
Where can people go if they want to sponsor? Let's say we got someone in the audience that wants to go above and beyond and throw a sponsorship out there.
Just send me an email. That's all
okay.
Ryan at daytripperphoto.com. If you do want to sponsor the expo, there's still plenty to be sponsored. So, anyway, guys, thank you all so much. Let's say goodnight now while the getting's good, and everybody have a good time. See y'all next week. Don't forget to make your photos, and remember to take your lens cap off. See ya.